Welcome, welcome, beautiful people, powerful people. Happy Black Future Month. If you didn't know, my name is Devon Travell, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, and author of Black Future Month, a visionary plan to reshape our future. Now, we've been doing this programming for 4 years. This is our fourth annual Black Future Month programming, and each year we try to get better and better. And I want to introduce you to the actual book right here, Black Future Month, a visionary plan to reshape our future, available on Amazon. And inside of this book, we go through the six and deeper symbols that we are basing Black Future on. And we also go through the history of Black History Month, right? And this is in no way, shape, or form, y'all, trying to replace the amazing work that Carter G. Woodson done, him and his team in 1926 to establish Black History Month. But at this point, it's been almost 100 years. And Black History Month does an amazing job at reflecting on our past, learning our history, right? And really feeling that cultural pride as the African diaspora. But we felt like, and me specifically, I felt like we needed a intentional month to get together to really think about where are we going for the next 100 years? What does the economy look like 100 years from now? What are the health habits we can build so that we survive 100 years from now? Right? What does education look like? What does the family look like? What does technology look like? And how can we continue to get together around the table to have discussions? Okay, so Black Future Month is going to be a series of discussions, roundtables, webinars, presentations, all getting us thinking about Black history. So do me a favor right now. And if you're tuning in, right, if you're watching the recording, go ahead and put what city you are tuning in from and what year is it when you're watching this. What city are you tuning in from and what year is it when you are consuming this information? Now, Black Future Month, if you didn't know, is hosted by a few different organizations. One is Black Wall Street, the board game, or Play Black Wall Street, which takes the history of Tulsa Black Wall Street and puts it into a fun family game so that everybody can learn about the real businesses behind Tulsa Black Wall Street, but also inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs, the next generation of people within our community that are solving our community problems while also generating economic wealth and value for our community. But in addition to that, we also have the Institute of Melanated Innovation. So let me tell you a little bit about IMI. So one, Institute of Melanated Innovation is here to increase access to Black Studies courses and increase experiences for K through 12 youth and our community members. We're also here to serve as a think tank and research center focused on solving problems that improve the lives of the African diaspora or Black community, right? And that's a central theme for Black Future Month, right? How do we assess what's happening within the community and how can we ourselves solve the problems within our community? IMI has three components. I have on-demand courses available today. We have free live events just like Black Future Month and others to come. And then we are also working on our incubator and accelerator program where we will help K through 12 youth and adults start and launch their business. If you're interested in taking courses with IMI or becoming a member, there's three different options. You can do the IMI All Access Pass, where you get access to everything that IMI has available to you. There's Play Black Wall Street Academy. This is specifically for our entrepreneurs, our youthful entrepreneurs who are really interested in financial literacy and starting a business. And then if you just want to snack on a little bit, you can go to Black Studies Snacks. All right. And all of these are available at imifoundation.com. We will show that link a little bit later. All right. Now, let's get into the roundtable time. Today's roundtable is hosted by the health nerd, aka Sinclair, who is a trained functional diagnostic nutritionist practitioner. I know she's clapping in the background because I said that correctly. I don't always say it correctly, to be honest with y'all. But you know, she's a very big person when it comes to health. She's a health enthusiast. And again, like the name says, she is a health nerd. So make sure y'all get your notepads out, get ready. And if you are interested in taking your health to the next level, if you're interested in changing your habits, if you're interested in just learning more about how the body works and how we can be accountable for our own health in the Black community, you're in for a treat. Please help me welcome Sinclair to the stage. What is going on, Queen?
Hello, hello. Thank you for that wonderful and accurate
Oh, sis.
introduction.
You know what I'm saying? I do what I can. I do what I can.
Yes, yes. Thank you, thank you. I'm very, very excited to be here with you all today. And yeah, to Devon's point, I'm very interested to see what years people are watching this because I didn't even think about the fact that this content is going to live on for generations and generations. So this material that I'm going to go over today is timeless. It's going to really help anybody of any time frame. But it's going to be really, really, really exciting stuff that we're going to be talking about today. And so, as he mentioned, my name is Sinclair Walker, aka the Health Nerd, and I am a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, or FDNP for short. That is a mouthful, I know, but that basically just means that I am very passionate and educated on how to help folks build their health, how to help folks get to a place where they are feeling better, they got more energy, right? They're eating the right foods, they are able to accomplish their goals, because at the end of the day, that's what we are all here to do. And really, the reason why I personally am so passionate about health is because it really is at the foundation of everything else. If you even think about your individual experience, when you come down with a cold, right? Are you able to operate at your 100%? I don't know about you, but for me, I may be able to still check my boxes and get stuff done, but it is so much harder to get what I want to do accomplished. Your body kind of goes into a mode whenever you're not 100%. Your body goes into a mode where it's trying to conserve energy, and it makes everything a lot harder. Whereas when you are at 100%, you wake up, you're ready to go, you are tackling the day, accomplishing your goals, and being a really contributing member to society. So for me, health is at the foundation of everything. If you don't have your health, you are not going to be able to get out there and really live your purpose, right? Accomplish your mission. You're not going to be able to do that. So that's why I think health is so foundational to any type of conversation. And I love that we're talking about this first in this year's Black Future Month, because, like I said, it is at the foundation. So, without further ado, what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about four steps to adopt a healthy, sustainable lifestyle. And I chose this wording very intentionally here. Um, yes, we want to live a healthy lifestyle, but living a healthy lifestyle for a year, that's cool. That's cool. But we really want to make sure it is a sustainable lifestyle, because we want to make sure that you're adopting habits and really forming a lifestyle that you can maintain for the rest of your life. And not only that, but a lifestyle that you can pass on to the future generations. And so that is really what I'm going to be talking about today, is how can we take, these are going to be four steps to actually creating a sustainable lifestyle. And so I'm not going to actually be talking about as much the what you need to be doing, because I think we're in the age of information. There's so much information out there, right? We all know we need to be eating healthy, moving our bodies, right? Sleeping well. So I'm not going to be talking about those things as much. Typically, that's what I'm here harping on. But today I want to focus on the how, right? Even if you know what to do, the how is almost just as hard, if not a little bit harder, to actually implement, right? We can all watch webinars. I'm sure we've all scroll. It's 2023, and so we all been scrolling Instagram and seeing all the gurus talking about, oh, I'm going to teach you how to do this and how to do this and do this, right? And that's good to get the information, and now you know what to do. But now you have to go and implement it, and the implementation of these things can be very, very difficult. And I'm sure we can all attest to that, right? If you've been on a weight loss journey, you know what you need to do, right? You know, you need to maybe cut down on how much you're eating and move more, but somehow it is so hard to actually make it happen and commit to that lifestyle. So I'm going to be talking about four steps you can take today to, again, not only implement the healthy lifestyle, but make sure that it sticks, because that's important. Okay. So let's get into it. So I want to kind of lay the foundation here for why we're even talking about this. So I'm going to talk about, I'm going to throw some statistics and facts at you. Okay. First, over 80% of all doctor's visits are for stress related conditions. I'm going to let that sit for a second. and repeat it. Over 80% of all doctor's visits today are for stress related conditions. That means you may go in thinking, oh, I've got a cough or a cold, or my body is aching, or, whatever may be going on. 80% of the time, if we looking at the root cause, and not just the root cause, but the root cause of the root cause of the root cause, getting down to what is actually at the root of what is wrong with the body, it almost always comes down to stress. Stress is the silent killer that is affecting the entire world, but especially our community. Next figure we're going to look at here. Perceived discrimination, for example, in the workplace, gender, racial or ethnicity, and sexual orientation based discrimination has been found to be a key factor in chronic stress related health disparities among ethnic, racial, and other minority groups. Okay, so perceived discrimination. This isn't even saying factually this group is being discriminated against this group. We know it's happening, but it is perceived discrimination. So, we're talking about gender equity, right, with pay at work, but especially racial inequalities that we all face on a daily basis, right? Down from redlining, not being able to live in the community that you want to live in, to inequitable pay, to not being able to reach your goals and climb the corporate ladder like you want to food deserts, right, in certain communities. All of these things, whether true discrimination or perceived discrimination, are affecting our health, whether we realize it or not. They are playing key factors in our chronic stress. Let's keep it going. African Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Latin Americans have been impacted greatly by hypertension and diabetes due to chronic stress resulting from discrimination. I mean, these are just stacking up against us, right? Discrimination, we think like, oh, it's just in my head. If I just need to get over it, right? Sometimes not only do we think that, but we may be told that from other folks, right? Slavery is over. We just need to get over it, right? It's not that simple. These things have lasting and physical effects that are happening in the body. When you feel discriminated against, you feel like, well, I'm going to speak for myself. When I feel discriminated against, I feel like I feel like I'm being perceived as less than a person, just as someone else. And that has physical, mental, emotional effects on the body. And so, without going too into weeds, I told you I'm the health nerd. So I could talk about all day about what happens in the body. But really quickly, I will tell you about what happens to our bodies when we experience stress. Our body has two modes, and two modes only. We have the rest and digest mode, and we have the fight or flight mode. The rest and digest mode is kind of that calm, that centered, that home, that safe. It's the rest and digest, exactly what it sounds like. That is the time period when our body feels safest, and that is where healing happens. Now, the other mode that our bodies have is called the fight or flight response. And so that is when our bodies go into the survival mode. Okay. And the body's trigger to go into that survival mode is all based on perceived stress. So whether you are being chased by a bear, or whether you dropped your phone and now your screen is cracked, or whether you're dealing with discrimination at work, it doesn't matter. If your brain is perceiving that experience as stress, then it is going to put your body into that fight or flight mode. So again, if we can think about us as the African diaspora, as Black Americans, we go into that mode. We experience stress on a daily basis, even microaggressions, right? Someone gives you a look in the grocery store, you get followed in the grocery store. Many of us have had those experiences, right? Those little microaggressions, you're driving and all of a sudden a cop car gets behind you, right? I can very much attest to that feeling where your stomach just drops, right? You've instantly went into fight or flight mode. And your body does not know the difference between whether you are actually in danger or whether it's perceived danger. And so we go into that mode very often. And unfortunately, in that mode, it's impossible to heal. Our body is not worried about healing when we're in that fight or flight response mode. We are just worried about survival. And so your body is going to pull energy away from your immune system, away from your reproductive system, away from your digestive system, in order to make sure that you have energy to fight off whatever danger it thinks is happening to you. So I'll keep it there because I can go, like I said, I can talk about this all day. But those are just some of the physiological things that happen when we face stress and discrimination. Next, stress due to experiences of racism can contribute to adverse birth outcomes when combined with effects of general and maternal stress. So now we're not only talking about how I am perceiving stress and it's affecting me, but mothers who are giving birth to the next generation. It is affecting the next generation, right? I think to me, this is just a huge red flag. This sounds the alarm that we need to be focusing on our health and living healthier lifestyles and decreasing some of that stress and not only the individual things but the systemic things happening in our communities, because it's going to affect the next generation, whether we like it or not. And moving on to the final figure here, perceived discrimination or racism has been shown to play a role in unhealthy behaviors such as cigarette smoking, alcohol or substance abuse, improper nutrition, and refusal to seek medical services. So if we're talking about things that build health and things that do the opposite, many of the things that folks lean on to kind of cope with these stressors, right? Smoking cigarettes, alcohol, substance abuse, those are typically used as coping mechanisms because, again, folks are experiencing a high level of stress, not only in the world, we just went through a global pandemic, but certain communities like the African diaspora, again, face these daily struggles, this daily discrimination. And in order to cope with that, many folks turn to these unhealthy habits. And again, it's just further stacking the cards against us and our own health. Not only now are we dealing with the stress of the actual discrimination or the stressor that's going on, but now the coping mechanism we're using to get through that is also continuing to degrade our health. So it's really important that we find healthy ways to cope with stress. And again, that's a whole other webinar, but I really want to talk about, once you know what you want to do, right? I want to decrease my stress levels. Or okay, I need to eat healthier, right? Improper nutrition or poor nutrition is another stressor on the body. If you're not giving your body the right nutrients, then you're just adding more stress, right? All of the processed foods, things that our body does not like is considered a stressor. Again, the body does not know the difference between, a perceived stress and an actual stressor. So, getting back into it, what does this all mean? We've gone over some figures. What do these all mean, right? Let's talk about it. The reality is, simply by being Black, we have a higher susceptibility to all stress-related conditions. And what I mean by that is we experience a higher level of stress than many other counterparts on this planet. We do. It's just the reality. We just went over why, right? And there are things that we cannot necessarily control. They are out of our control. We can only control how we deal with these stressors, but we cannot control somebody else's behavior towards us or those systemic things that are affecting us. But the reality is that they are there and we experience them on a daily basis. So, what can we do about it? We must prioritize our own health in order to assure a bright Black future. We are in Black Future Month. And if we are not talking about how we can change this trajectory that we're seeing where this stress, this highest level of stress is affecting our communities, right? If we look at all the causes of death, Black Americans are number one or two on all of the demographic, like the list of demographics affected by heart disease, diabetes, right? Cancer. We are up there on the top one or two of every single list of the top causes of death, which means this level of stress that we're experiencing is having a physical toll on our bodies, and we're not sure how to deal with it. Many of us are not sure how to deal with it, and we're leaning on some older systems and systems that are not made for us in order to really, combat these stressors and try to get healthy. And so I'm going to talk about what are the things that we can actually do to take control of our own health. That's what we're here to talk about. How can we take control of our own health and the health of our future generations? Because again, a lot of us know what to do, right? It comes down to eating healthier, moving your bodies, right? Sleeping better, decreasing stress. but actually implementing these habits is so much harder than it sounds. And so I'm going to go over 4 things for you to consider as you are adopting this healthy lifestyle. So let's get into the juicy stuff. Step number 1, educate yourself. At the end of the day, we cannot outsource our own health. So if you were to think about, okay, I'm going to go start gardening. I really want to start a garden. Would you, I think most people would go and just find a gardening book or a podcast or an article or something to get started, right? We would go start educating ourselves on what to do. Okay, I want to start saving money. Most people are just probably just going to do a Google search, right? How can I start saving money? How can I start budgeting? Let me go find a podcast. Let me go, do X, Y, or Z. Let me go read a book on how to budget. But for some reason, when we think about let me go get healthier, many of us think, I don't know what to do and I need to go to the doctor, or I need to go to a personal trainer, or I need to go to someone else to tell me what to do in order to get healthy. When many of us, what we just need to do is start educating ourselves because the information is out there, right? We don't always need to outsource and have somebody else tell us exactly what we should be doing in order to live a healthy life. So I think, and many of the programming that we receive is that you have to just go and ask your doctor, right? Whatever you need, whatever health concern you have, right? You're trying to get healthy, go ask your doctor. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Part of what I do in my line of work is I talk to doctors, I talk to nurses, nurse practitioners on a daily basis. And many of them tell me that they are not learning how to actually build health in their education, right? However many years of medical school they go in, doctors are meant to treat sickness, and that's really what Western medicine was designed to do. And there is absolutely a place for that, right? When we get sick, we want to have somebody to go to tell me how can I get better, right? What do I need to do in order to get better? But if you're trying to build health and build a healthier lifestyle, that's not something that most doctors are trained to do. And so you have to take ownership of your own health and figure out what steps do you need to take in order to feel better. Because again, if you go to and follow the traditional Western medical system, they're going to tell you how to treat your symptoms. They're going to tell you how to kind of, symptoms are very downstream. So they're going to tell you, right, if you have a headache, I'm going to tell you how to get rid of the headache. If you have a digestive issues, I'm going to tell you how to get rid of your digestive issues. But they're not actually trained on how to get to the root cause of things and how to actually prevent these things from happening in the future. That is where these lifestyle habits are going to come into play. And so, again, kind of going back to why you need to educate yourselves, lack of information that's really not the problem right now. We have enough information out there, from TikTok to Instagram to podcasts to in articles, right? Books. There's so much information out there that can tell you exactly what you need to be doing in order to build your health. You just need to educate ourselves and actually know why do I need to get more sleep? Right? Why do I need to eat healthy? Actually, what is the mechanisms? How does the body work in order for these nutrients to be absorbed and for me to feel better from that, right? Let's educate ourselves on how the body works. We don't need to always outsource that information. We are each and every individual listening to this webinar right here has the power, has the ability, has the intelligence to learn about how their own body works and what is going to be good for their own body. So I am a huge advocate for education. Even when I'm working with my clients, I am not simply telling them, this is what I recommend for you. And I think you should just listen to it because I'm me and I'm an FDNP and I know better, right? No, I'm absolutely recommending every single person educate yourselves on why sleep is good for you, right? Sleep is restorative. Sleep is where healing happens. Go research it for yourself. Don't trust what I'm saying, right? Take what I'm saying for a grain of salt. Go research it for yourself, because once you start to research it and educate yourself, everything starts to click. Now when you're going to bed at night, you now know why it's good for you to get 8 hours of sleep. right? You now know the power of sleep cycles and deep sleep and REM sleep, right? All those different things. It's so powerful to know the information, and it makes it that much more likely that you will stick with these new habits. So again, whether it's why you're eating healthy or what foods to eat, right? Learn about why blueberries are good antioxidants, right? And how that's going to help your body. Learn about it. Go read a book. Go listen to a podcast. I think there's so much information at this point where we can't say that we don't know what to do because the information isn't out there, right? Whether it's, again, people making educational videos on TikTok and Instagram, people writing books, people recording podcasts, weekly podcasts every single day. Just go find something that resonates with you and start to educate yourself. Um, Again, this is step number one because knowledge is power. I think we all can attest to the fact that educating yourselves on any subject is really powerful, but especially our own health, because again, it's at the foundation of everything. And we need to know why we are doing what we're doing. So, step one, educate yourself. Now, moving on. Step two, not only do you want to educate yourself on like the lifestyle habits, right? And why living a healthy lifestyle is going to be beneficial to you, but you also want to know yourself. You also need to look within, because at the end of the day, any health journey is also a personal development or personal improvement journey, because you're going to be addressing your mind, body, soul, spirit, everything throughout this journey. I can attest to that. And it is going to be challenging, but it's going to force you to kind of face some of your limiting beliefs, some of the things that have prevented you from being successful at maybe implementing a healthy lifestyle in the past. And so I really recommend getting to know yourself, because that is really going to tell you how you should be going about your own health journey. For example, um, with some clients, they are like a very like all or nothing type of personality. So they just need to know what to do and they're going to go and do everything tomorrow. And that's how they work the best. They just need to do everything and commit to it, and that's what works for them. However, other people need to take more of a gradual approach, which I do think for most people is probably beneficial. That's kind of my recommendation for a lot of people, but you have to know yourself to know what's going to work for you. If tomorrow you just want to, jump to all of your different habits and that's going to be what's best for you, then that's important for you to know. And there are a lot of tools that you can use if you're actually not sure. If you're like, well, what is best for me? I don't really know. I haven't necessarily maybe paid attention to those things in the past. There are so many different tools you can use to kind of start to learn more about yourself. There are personality assessments you can do. There are love language assessments you can do. A lot of free online tools you can use to start to assess, like, what is your personal motivation? What type of person are you? And that will help you determine how you should go about your own health journey. Right. So I put some key questions here that I recommend and everybody answers before you kind of embark on any type of health journey. So first is, what are your goals and your motivation for wanting to get healthy? So everybody has a different goal. Everybody has a different idea of what a healthy lifestyle looks like and why they want to accomplish that. For example, me, like my deep rooted, like why I do what I do is I want to be able to play with my great grandkids. That's like an underlying motivation for me. So that means I'm focused a lot on longevity, right? And not only longevity, but like healthjevity. I don't know if that's a word. I might have just created that. But how long I am able to actually live a healthy life is really important to me, because I want to learn and I want to see as many future generations as possible. And so that's kind of one of my underlying motivations. But you need to determine, what is your personal motivation for wanting to get healthy? Is it because you want to be around for your family? Is it because you want to play with your kids? Is it because you want to, maybe you really, really love your job and you found your purpose and you want to do it for as long as possible on this earth? Whatever your underlying motivation is, you have to determine that for yourself. And then, like, what goals do you have? right? Maybe you want to run a marathon. Maybe you want to do one of those Ironman competitions. Maybe you just want to be able to get up and walk around your block every single day, right? All of those things are going to be different goals that require different habits in order to reach those goals. So be really clear about what healthy means to you. Because again, that means something different to every single individual person. So, what does that mean to you? What are your goals? And what is motivating you to get to that goal? Next is, what are your limiting beliefs? So, what are things that could stop you from accomplishing that goal, right? Whether it's self-doubt, whether it's fear of failure. There are so many different limiting beliefs that we all carry, and it's important for you to identify those, because adopting a healthy lifestyle is not easy. It's not easy at all. And so when those rough times come, right, when you may face those setbacks, it's important for you to know what got me here, right? What mindset, what question, or what thought do I have in my head that maybe took me off the wagon? You say, like, fell off the wagon, right? I fell off the wagon. Well, what pushed you off the wagon, right? And a lot of times it is our own thoughts, it is our own limiting beliefs about ourselves, and a lot of them may stem from childhood. So if you're really thinking like, okay, I'm not sure what my limiting beliefs are, go back to childhood, go back to your, a lot of us kind of have to face some of those childhood traumas to really figure out what are our limiting beliefs. And many of us fall into some of the same patterns when we're trying to accomplish something and maybe we fall short, whether it's self-sabotage or letting other people and their opinions of us kind of bring us down, right? But a lot of them come down to what are our own limiting beliefs. So you have to identify those, and so that you can actually combat them and overcome them when they arise, because it's inevitable. They will show up. It's going to happen. So you need to know what they are so that you know how to get over those barriers. Next is, what kind of positive reinforcement can you give yourself without derailing your results? So, again, when we face those barriers and we move past them, we want to give ourselves a little bit of a pat on the back, right? A little bit of positive reinforcement, like, good job, you did that, queen. You did that, king, right? We need to give ourselves, we need to be our own biggest cheerleader. You cannot expect anybody else to cheer you on more than you are cheering yourself on. So in order to do that, determine, like, what are some things that you can do to love on yourself, to give yourself some self-love, that are not going to derail your results. So what I mean by that is, eating a full tub of ice cream as a reward may not be beneficial. That could actually set you back a little bit. So you need to come up. I know this is something that I personally struggle with, because I love food. And food is not only is it like a tool to help you build health, but it also, especially in society, is used in times of celebration. So a lot of times we can start to make the mental connection between something to celebrate and celebrating with food. And I fall into this trap as well. Like, okay, what do I want to do when I'm celebrating? Oh, I want to eat a really good meal. And sometimes a really good meal doesn't always come with a healthy meal. Like, those are not always synonymous. And so we can find ourselves kind of in that cycle again of, like, self-sabotaging, where we've accomplished our goals and now we want to celebrate, but we're celebrating in a way that's going to derail our progress. So a night out of partying where you're drinking alcohol and doing all this substance abuse, like, may not be beneficial to your health journey. So you really have to determine, what is something I can do that's going to continue yourself along your trajectory, right? So maybe you go and spend a day at the spa, right? Get a nice massage. That's really beneficial. It helps you decrease stress, right? Maybe you go and, like, I love to dance. Maybe I treat myself to a dance class, or maybe you go out to a healthy brunch with friends or something like that. Maybe you go out and just do something fun. You go out bowling. You go out with friends and do something that is fun, but again, not going to derail your progress. I think it's important to identify, like, what are going to be some things that I can reward myself with. Maybe it's a vacation. What are some things that I can reward myself with throughout this progress that are going to show yourself some love, but also, again, not derail your progress. That's super, super important to identify early on. And then I kind of already mentioned this, but just wanted to bring it back to, again, taking personality assessments is a really good tool to get to know yourself a little bit better. I know it sounds almost silly, like, why do I need to take a little online quiz to know yourself? But it's so helpful to get these different questions. And a lot of times all these assessments are just questions, right? It's just, hey, think about this. Well, how do you react in these types of situations? And sometimes it just takes that reflection on, hmm, I do tend to do that, right? Hmm, I do tend to like retreat when I get in times of stress, right? I do tend to have this pattern of avoidance, right? I do tend to do X, Y, or Z in these situations, and a lot of times it takes just a little bit of reflection and some intentional time to actually sit down and say, what kind of person am I? And I don't mean that in a bad way, right? Just what literally what type of person am I? Am I the type of person that does this or does that? And it's not in a critical way, right? This is not in a way to critique yourself. It is simply a inquisitive, like, let me actually learn some more about myself. Because at the end of the day, when we wake up day to day to day, we're going, right? You got to get up, you got to get the kids ready for school, you got to go to work, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. We don't always have time to actually stop and reflect on, like, okay, what did I do today? How did I react in that situation? Is that how I want to react in the future? Or do I have maybe something I need to work on? And so that's why I think these types of assessments are really, really good to do, not only for you just your own personal journey, but again, to know how what type of habits you need to adopt, how to address those barriers when they come throughout your life, throughout your health journey, because they're inevitable. I think it's really, really important to get to know yourself in that way. All right.
Love it, love it. And if I may, Queen, we're about halfway in, and I got some notes that I've been doing, and I just
Lovely.
wanted to do like a nice little knowledge check and give folks opportunity to digest some of their own notes. So hopefully you were taking notes throughout this. Go ahead and look at your notepad and put a star next to things that you feel like are important, are action items for you. So one quote that I wrote down that you said was, "It's impossible to heal in the stressful fight or flight mode."
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let's put that out there and let that marinate. Right? A lot of us have possibly some traumas that we're trying to heal. Maybe literally we have, cuts, broken bones, bruises that we're trying to heal. And if you're constantly in stress, you won't have the opportunity to heal. Another one, sleep is where healing happens. Sleep is where healing happens. And a lot of times I'll speak for myself, growing up, we're taught, you got to grind, right? You ain't got time to sleep. You got to go out, you got to make this money, you got to make your dreams happen. You can't sleep. And then, you end up running yourself ragged and getting really tired, and you don't even have the energy, the capacity, the strength to chase your dream anymore. Right. So I just want to, see how we can shift that culture, and make sure that we are getting our 8 hours. I know I struggle. I've been getting like 5, 6. 6 is a good night for me. But how can we, change that culture and make sure that we're getting the sleep that we need to heal ourselves? Another one that I put on here was knowing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very easy to fall into the cultural inertia of our
Mm,
families, right? Like, okay, my family eats this, my family doesn't eat this, my family dresses like this, my family doesn't wear this. And then we just get into a habit of, based on our culture, this is what we do. And we don't take the time to really think about, well, what do I want to do?
mm,
Right? We don't take a metabolic test and realize that, oh, I actually can't eat peach cobbler and ice cream because my metabolism isn't built for that. Right? We
right.
don't take that time to really assess ourselves. And then another thing you put on here that made you laugh, and I definitely laughed too, was, what's your why for health longevity? you know, what is your why for health longevity? I haven't heard it before. You should probably make it into his t-shirt, Queen. But health longevity, right? How can I
You
be
heard it
as
here first.
healthy? Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. Because longevity is just about like how long can you last, how long can you live.
Mhm,
But I don't know the exact definition of longevity, but I don't know how much quality of life is built into that definition. Whereas health longevity, I think quality of life is automatically built into the definition of health.
mhm.
So yeah, I really like that one. Two more notes that I have on here, and again, I hope y'all are taking notes on that side. If you got something that you've learned or that that really stood out to you, go ahead and put that in the comments. Right, go ahead and type that below. A quote, a stat, an action item that you're going to take action on after this health webinar. But one that I definitely want to talk about, or reassess for me, is changing how you celebrate to make sure it affirms your long-term goals.
Hmm.
Right? I love what you're talking about the spa. I think that's something that we're going to incorporate. Traveling, taking trips is something that we already incorporate. But I think we can take a little bit of an intentional look at, okay, how are we celebrating now? What are our goals, and what are different ways that we can celebrate that help us achieve those goals? So I'll leave it at that, Queen. You're spitting hot fire. I'm gonna keep taking my
Hot
notes in the
fire.
background. Hot fire, bow.
Mhm.
I'm gonna keep taking notes on my side. And again, Black Future Month. It's about action-oriented details and what you can do to create that bright future for yourself and the next generation. So make sure y'all are taking notes and ready to take action. Queen, passing it back to you.
Thank you, King. Thank you, King. Sometimes I'm like, I just be here talking, but hearing you just give those notes back to me, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
I said that. I said
Yeah, okay, okay.
that.
I know what I'm talking about a little bit. So thank you. All right. So yeah, hopefully you all are really taking note and taking some of these into really introspection. I think that's the word. But let's keep it going. We are halfway through. We got two more. Okay, so step three, gradual implementation. And so this is with really, again, when you're looking at your health journey, you're likely going to have a list of things, right? Again, we know we need to eat healthy, we need to move more, we need to sleep better, we need to decrease stress, right? We need to maybe work on our relationships, right? In general, I think we have an idea of what we need to do to live a healthy life. But most people, again, there might be those anomalies out there that are just need to be full-fledged, like I'm gonna just start all of this tomorrow and that's how they succeed. More power to you. But most people are going to be much more successful with a gradual approach. So again, you need to do all of these things, right? Start with one. And if I had to give my personal recommendation, I think starting with nutrition, starting with what you're putting in your mouth on a daily basis is a great place to start for most people because it's going to give you the best bang for your buck. Meaning, if you did nothing else, but really start to focus on giving yourself really quality whole foods, you're going to see a really massive change in how you feel and your output, right? Your ability to get up and be energized to do what you need to do. That's going to do a lot for you right there. But start wherever is going to be best for you. If you think you need a more of a slow approach, like let me just start with going to bed 1 hour earlier. Perfect. Perfect. Start with a small, gradual approach, one habit at a time. Okay. And I find myself struggling with this as well. Like, okay, man, tomorrow I'm just gonna jump full fledged. And then you do that and you may be good, you may be golden for like a week. Ooh, I'm feeling good. I've been able to tackle all these things and do all these things for a week. But eventually, it's almost inevitable. If you are anybody like me, you're going to get fatigued. You're going to get to that point where it's like, oh man, okay, this is a lot harder than I thought. And when you jump into it like cold turkey, everything all at once, it's much harder to sustain that because you've made such a big change all at once. And now it's overwhelming. Your body it is more of a mental struggle for me. My body feels great. But for me, it's a mental struggle of like, oh, but I miss all those old things I used to do, right? And so making that switch mentally is very hard for a lot of folks to just go from 0 to 100 because you have a lot of old habits that, depending on how old you are, have been built up for decades. So switching that in a period of 24 hours is almost impossible. You have to give yourself, if you have 20 years, right? I'm 29, so I have 29 years of my current habits. I cannot switch those overnight. It's going to take, I should at least give myself a couple of months in order to fully make a change and a shift in my lifestyle and in your mindset. And so it's really important. And I'm gonna just give you this. I think I've heard this. I hope I'm not going to misquote this, but somebody has actually given me a figure and said for like each decade of your life, it's going to take at least a month to like change those habits, right? And that's at least a month. And so think about that. You cannot change everything in a week or two. Like it's just not impossible unless you're just a couple months old. You need to really give yourself time to change these habits. So start small again. Some of the most successful people in the world have started with one habit at a time. You have to think longevity. You have decades of your life left, hopefully, to make these changes. So you don't have to do it all today. Again, start with, let me just go to bed at a decent time today, right? Let me, instead of going to bed at midnight, I'm going to go to bed at 11 o'clock today. Instead of doing no exercise, I'm going to go out and walk the block for 5 minutes, right? And then you make it 10 minutes. And then it's 15. Before you know it, you're doing a 30-minute walk every day. And because you've taken a gradual approach, you're able to stick with those habits and actually make it a part of your lifestyle. Now, another really, really, really good tip. This is juicy, y'all. Y'all need to write this one down. Get your notepads ready. Habit stacking. Now, for my folks out there who have read Atomic Habits by James Clear, you already know what I'm talking about here. But for those who are not familiar, I put the source of the book here because I think it's such a great book for everybody to read. Atomic Habits by James Clear. But habit stacking is the act of when you want to implement a habit, a new habit that you're not already doing. Stack that on to something that you are already doing on a daily basis, and that is going to again help it actually become a part of your lifestyle and make it more likely that this will be a sustainable part of your journey and not just something that you do for a week and then you're off of it. So what I mean by that, let's say your morning routine is you wake up, you make some coffee, you brush your teeth, right? You get the kids ready for school. You know those three things you're going to do every single day. So if you want to do a 5-minute breathing exercise or meditation or go for a walk, if those are not things you're already doing, stack that onto one of those three things you know you're going to do every single day. You know you're going to brush your teeth every day, I hope. Right? If you're a coffee drinker and you know that like that's part of your daily routine, then stack something off onto before or after your morning cup of coffee. Before is probably better, but either way, if you know that you got to get the kids ready, for school Monday through Friday, and you want to go for, you want to do a 30-minute walk Monday through Friday, great. When you come back from getting them ready for school, or when you drop them off and you come back, that's when you do your 30-minute walk, and you habit stack it onto something you're already doing. I think this is such a really, really helpful tool because again, it makes it easier. It gives you less decision fatigue. When you just say like, okay, I want to exercise today, but you don't give yourself a specific time, then you're leaving it to decide when you feel like doing it. And if this is something that you're implementing again for the first time or something you're implementing that you're not already doing, the likelihood that you are going to just feel like working out at any given point of the day may or may not happen, right? So really give yourself like, this is when I work out. I work out after I drink my coffee, or I work out after I drop my kids off at school, or I work out after this meeting I have every day. Habit stack it onto something you're already doing. It's going to make it so much easier to just stay consistent with that. And there's a whole bunch of other great techniques that they use in the book. So I could be here all day talking about those, but that's really one that I think is really important that everybody can adopt today, right? You can start listing the things that you do every single day and then start listing the things that you want to adopt and just match them up. Like, okay, I'm going to do this here and I'm going to do this here after I brush my teeth, after I go on a walk, after I whatever. That's a really, really helpful tool. And then lastly on this list, identify and replace negative triggers. So this is kind of a two-parter. One, you have to identify your negative triggers. And so what I mean by that is, let's say whenever you feel stressed, you go on a binging and in a food binging, day or something like that. Stress is the activity that happens. That's the kind of the trigger, and your response is you go on a binge. Now you've identified the trigger and you've identified your response. Now it's time to replace that response, right? And so stressors are going to happen. So this is still going to be there, right? When I get stressed or when something happens here that I don't like, I react in this way. So instead of reacting in this way, choose another, again, positive reinforcement or something different that you can do instead of going on your binge. So maybe instead of, right, you're going to go for the fridge, right? Maybe you have a little note or something on your fridge that says go on a walk, right? So instead of doing that, maybe you go on a walk or you call a friend so that you can just vent your issues out, but you're not, again, kind of doing those negative things that are going to set your health journey back. Identify what is something that you can substitute that negative behavior with so that now you have a really clear idea of what you need to do. You've identified your habits and you've identified the trigger, and now you can switch the mindset, you switch your response to that trigger. And that is going to be really, really helpful because by identifying them ahead of time, you're prepared, right? You know, I have a tendency to do this, this, and this when this situation happens to me. So if you think about it ahead of time, instead of doing that, I'm going to turn on a song and I'm just going to dance for a few minutes, dance it out, right? I'm going to dance it out. That's probably going to end up being mine. Because I'm just going to dance it out, right? Or I'm going to go on a run, right? I'm going to jog it out. I'm going to release, right? You do need to still find a way to release whatever tension, whatever stress might be in your body, right? You want to find a way to release that, but you want to do it in a more health affirming way. So identify what that thing is going to be for you and identify it ahead of time, because otherwise we're going to be reacting. And, that's not always, most of the time, it's not going to be beneficial to us because we may react in negative ways or ways that are going to, again, continue or going to kind of set us back on our health journey. So, summarizing again here, this gradual implementation. You want to start with one habit at a time. Stack new habits onto existing habits, and then you want to also identify your triggers and replace those negative behaviors with more positive, affirming, health affirming activities, so that you are again lessening your likelihood that you will react negatively to a situation and possibly set yourself back. That's how many of us kind of find ourselves in that self-sabotaging cycle where we're just starting our journey over and over again. I've definitely been there. All right. So rounding us out here for step number 4 to adopting a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. Hold yourself accountable. We've got to hold ourselves accountable. And so there's a lot of different ways to do this. But in order, again, we're talking about a marathon here. All right, shout out to Nipsey Hussle, the late and great. We're talking life is a marathon. We're not in a race. We are on a marathon. In order to make sure that we can continue on this marathon, we have to have checkpoints where we are holding ourselves accountable. And so, and we're basically kind of tracking our progress and seeing like, okay, how are we doing, right? Do I need to change up what I'm doing, or can I just keep going with what I'm doing and that's working for me? And so I think accountability is a huge part of any successful health journey. And so that can look like a couple of different things. I think there are kind of a different steps to holding yourself accountable. But I think the first one is tracking your progress and your results. How do you know if you're successful or not? You have to have clear ways of identifying whether what you're doing is working or not. Otherwise, how do you know that you're even going in the right direction? So identify what that is going to look like for you. It really depends on what your individual goals are. So whether it's, fat loss percentage, or, how many days you're able to go out and work out, or, there's so many different ways for you to measure this depending on what your goal is. But find a way to track your progress and actually give yourself checkpoints, like maybe it's every week you step on the scale, or every so often you do this, right? You go into the doctor's office, you get your BMI, you check your blood pressure, you track your sleep, right? Maybe if your goal is sleep related, right? You start tracking your sleep and how many hours you're able to get of sleep, of nice deep sleep, right? How well refreshed you wake up in the morning. There's so many different ways to track it, but you have to really track your results. Otherwise, again, you're not going to know whether you're actually being successful or not. 2, find an accountability group or partner. Do not keep your goals to yourself. This is a really big one. I think this doesn't get as much attention as it should. We have the ability in our minds to justify pretty much whatever we want to do. And so what I mean by that, right? Oh, it's okay. I'm just going to take 1 scoop of ice cream. It's all good. The ice cream has calcium. Calcium's good for my bones. It's all good. It's not even going to send me back, right? You can just start to tell yourself whatever you want and you will believe it because there's no one else to tell you that that's complete nonsense. And so it's really important for you to have an accountability partner outside of yourself so that there's someone there to be like, no, sis, that's not gonna work. That does not make sense. And so you have to have somebody, you have to get out of your own head, right? If you only keep your goals to yourself, if no one else even knows you're on your journey, then there's no one there to know whether you've fallen off or not. And it's very easy, again, for you to give yourself an excuse that you will actually believe. Whereas if you find a partner, an accountability partner, accountability group, and I recommend this being someone who's going to be able to be honest with you, right? Don't get a yes man. Don't get somebody that's just going to be, yeah, girl, get that calcium in. It's okay. What? Eat the whole tub, right? More calcium, the better. That's not the person you want. You want somebody that's going to be like, again, that doesn't make sense. No, let's not do that, right? You want somebody who's actually going to be holding yourself accountable. I didn't get to my workout today. Why not? Right? What are you going to do differently tomorrow to make sure you jump back on the wagon? You need somebody who's going to be there and actually hold you accountable and make sure that they're pushing you towards the trajectory, the long-term goal that you want. So I think that's really important, whether that's a spouse, a friend, again, an online community. That there's accountability groups you can join now where maybe you post your results, right? I see a lot of my friends, they post their like workouts on social media and they tag people, right? That's something that a lot of folks are doing, like, hey, checking in, where y'all at, right? And not only is that public, you don't have to do that, but I think making it so that other people are involved in your journey, it's much harder for some of us to disappoint other folks than it is for folks to disappoint themselves. And so again, we can kind of start to justify our actions if we have no other sounding board to work off of. So please get somebody else who knows your goals. Well, again, whether it's a family member or spouse or friend, somebody else that is helping you along your journey and that can hold you accountable. And then lastly, we've touched on this, but I really wanted to circle back on celebrating the wins, right? When you have those checkpoints again, okay, I've lost my 5 pounds, or man, I'm to 7 full hours of sleep, and I feel good, right? Maybe your goal is 8, but you're at 7. That's a milestone, right? Celebrate the win, but celebrate it in a way that is going to affirm your goals. But make sure that you are celebrating. So again, maybe you book a spa day, or you go on a vacation, or you go hang out with your friend, you go bowling, you do something fun. But just make sure it's health affirming. But I do think that positive reinforcement is huge, and we need to make sure that we are doing it to ourselves and with ourselves. So I think that's also a huge part of any sustainable health journey, is celebrating your wins and your goals. Okay. So, to summarize all of the 4 steps that we have gone over, we had step number 1, and let me make sure that I'm not going to forget it and get it out of order. Step number 1, educate yourself. Step number 2, know and learn yourself. Step number 3, gradual implementation. It is a marathon, not a race, one habit at a time. And step number 4, hold yourself accountable. Find those ways to check in with yourself and see how are you doing. And if you need course correction, have somebody else that can help you keep accountable to the goals. Okay. So in conclusion, health is the foundation of everything. As I mentioned earlier, health is how well you are able to wake up in the mornings and get what you want to accomplish done. Whether that's, again, preparing and providing for your family, whether that's accomplishing whatever mission or greater purpose you feel you have on this earth, we all need to make sure we are healthy enough to get those things done. Otherwise, we're pouring from empty cups. Otherwise, we are going to be just not feeling 100% in order to get those things done. And then, kind of how this ties back into Black Future Month is that we must take our health into our own hands and improve our lifestyles in order to ensure that current and future generations are able to reach their full potential. We need all of the help we can get. We're all, I think, very aware that, based on historical things that are outside of our control, our starting point is a little bit further back than a lot of other communities. But it's also up to us to make sure that we are taking our health into our own hands so that our current and future generations have the energy, they have the ability to do what they need to do, to become the next lawyers, to become the next doctors, to become the next engineers, to become the next entrepreneurs, to really take and catapult our community to where we want to go, which is health and longevity and wealth. And wealth not only of money, but wealth of the mind, wealth abundance, right? Wealth of course, of money. Money is a tool we all need in order to accomplish our goals too. But all of those things are so important. Wealth of knowledge, all of those things are so important for our community in order to ensure a really positive, bright, and just amazing Black future. So I hope again this was really helpful for you all to not only think about the what, right? We know we did talk about a little bit of the things that we need to do in terms of decreasing stress, getting sleep, getting good quality food, all really important. But the how to implement those things is also just as important, if not more important. So hopefully this was helpful for you all to really start doing some introspection on like, okay, what do I need to do to make sure that I am making these sustainable changes for not only me but for the future generations to come. Again, my name is Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd, and it was lovely
Yeah.
to be here with you lovely melanated folks today.
There it is. Thank you so much, Queen. Let me put up your socials one more time. There it is
Yes,
right
got my
there.
Instagram right there.
There it is. Make sure y'all tap in with the Health Nerd. If you're just listening to this, that's THEEE, three E's, Health Nerd, spelled normal. Again, the leader of the health longevity movement over here. But yeah, really love how action oriented it was and how reflective it was as well. Right. So yes, we are thinking about the future, but sometimes in order to move forward, you need to go back to your childhood and really assess, what happened? What did I like? What didn't I like? And how do I want to change the childhood of the next generation? So again, thank you to the Queen for getting us started with Black Future Month with a discussion on our health. Next week, we have some guests coming in to talk about the power and future of education, right? How are we making sure we are consuming healthy information for our mind to
Mm,
make sure that we can build the future that we need? All right. So next week, we will be going over education. Then the week after that, we'll be going over economics, right? The Queen was already talking about the importance of money, the importance of wealth, and how in America, but all across the world, money is used as a tool to build society and to solve problems. So we need to understand as a community, how do we make sure that we not only generate more money, but keep the money and the wealth within our community. And then we will end Black Future Month with a beautiful, amazing conversation about love in relationships. Yes, yes. Shout out to the love, right? So make sure y'all tap in. Y'all can see the recordings from this year and last year if you go to www.junebfm.com. That's juneblackfuturemonth.com right there on the screen. We got the 4 recordings from last year up there. We got the 4 recordings from the year before up there. And then, of course, the recordings from this year will also be made available. It's just been great conversations. All right. Queen, well
yes.
done once again. Any final words you would like to leave the people with as they secure their own health with their own habits?
One step at a time. One step at a time is what I want to just drive home. Again, it can feel there's so much information about there about you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that and that, all in good time. Just today, come up with one thing that you're going to do today to set yourself out on the right trajectory.
Beautiful. Peace, y'all.